Design thinking is a well understood discipline to bring design delivery into traditional services. In the context of government and public services, the combination of design thinking, putting users first in designing services, and also having multiple agencies and individuals join in the delivery of that service, from the user through the originator, producer, and so forth. And central to that way of thinking and way of working is the creation of multidisciplinary teams, bringing together teams from different parts of government, different parts of the private and public sector, and adding them together to create a team that's focused on user needs and delivering services for users. Not just delivering services once, but continuing to iterate and iterate and iterate. Tom Loosemore and I started the Government Digital Service in 2010-11 as part of a new government in the United Kingdom. And it was a different way of working because of the previous decade, or longer than a decade, of IT failures and service delivery failures. We were allowed to try working very differently. And we took the tools of the open internet, the ways of working of internet services, and deployed them right at the heart of the machine of government. And that allowed us to do pretty much everything very differently. We created small multidisciplinary teams. We added technologists to policy people to finance people, and bringing all those people together and getting to focus on the user need and services that really met needs of users at a very high level rather than the needs of the policy people or the needs of the departments was the secret sauce for how we worked. Crucially, we worked in the open. So like a virus, it was allowed to spread, and all over a big system of 400,000+ people, people could see how they were working. We gave them the tools, we gave them the networks, and we encouraged them to work in the same way. And because we had such good design standards and design principles, we found they would work in the same way, and we got basically the entire system to change at scale. We did that with a few hundred people in the centre and an awful lot of goodwill and communication right through the rest of the system. Firstly, start very small teams, give them defined, not defined targets, but points of a problem, test an assumption. Say, look, we give you 10, 12 weeks, small amount of money. We think there's a problem here. Can you go find whether that assertion is correct by building something, by making something, however cosmetic or however small. Crucially, don't worry too much about the size and scale of what it is you're delivering, but allow them to work very differently. Radically change the ways of working, build collaboration and teamwork, and focus on delivery. The second challenge is the idea of scale. That's a very different challenge, because once you've got the basic concepts of delivery, once you can get small teams working together, the scale challenge often requires some added disciplines as well. Usually technology disciplines at scale, but also things like communication, how you make sure millions of users can consume, and feedback at a very high level to continue developing services. Europe generally, and the European Union specifically, I think, can take many lessons from that. The first is that delivery at scale is possible, even with quite a varied mix of people and services. Indeed, 27 nations make up this union. It is easily conceivable that services that cross borders could be made to such a high level to service everyone within the union. That's something that I would give great thought to for the European Union, because we have a problem. And the problem is that whilst we have some excellent policies, and much of the work that the Commission, the European Union in a wider sense does is hugely valuable, it's often unseen. It's usually ascribed to different actors, national or local governments. And yet that leads to a gap between people's perception of what the organisation can do and its importance and the actual service delivery. And it's time, I think, to take the Union away from just looking at policy to start the Commission pointing at creating some services and mobilising the countries and the talent within those countries to create great European-wide services. At Public Digital, we work with institutions outside of Europe. We work with the Inter-American Development Bank, which has 20+ countries that it services in Latin America. We work with the World Bank, the UN, and also directly with over 20 countries. And we see the same problem sets all over the place. And the European Union face these now. A couple of things I would stress is this. A very small team with a focus and some political cover can achieve massive institutional change very quickly. In a country as challenged as Peru, where its institutions have got a real democratic deficit, a small team in the centre created a single government domain and started to transform the driving services, very important in Lima, within 6 weeks. Recently in Argentina, a similar team, less than 100 people, have created a platform for the whole of Argentina and have used health and driving data to create a single service for every Argentine citizen. These are transformative changes of entire machineries of government, and they're delivered by a relatively small number of people. If one country can do that with a small number of people, just think what the European Union could do.